Welcome to the Jordan Lang Podcast. This is a space where we will have conversations on all of the things like business, wellness, motherhood, social activism, and lots more. Come prepared with an openness to learn, grow, and expand yourself just a little bit further with each topic we discuss. Thank you for joining us today. Let's get started. Welcome to episode 5 of the Jordan Lang Podcast. We are continuing season 1's theme of emotional and mental wellness with today's episode, which is a conversation on sobriety and mental health with Mei McIntosh. Mei is the founder of The Creative Sober, an online community of sober and sober-curious creatives. She founded the brand under her media company to create something meaningful, honest, and in service to others while encouraging collaboration. The definition of business has been a progressive shift over the years. Mei thrived in corporate America and continually advanced into leadership positions, but found that no matter what the title was or how much money she made, it underwhelmed and left them feeling empty. Instead of executing hard lines of strategy, she now connects dots of possibilities and is conscious of approaching business that resonates with the highest good of everyone involved. There's a lot of vulnerability and sacrifice in that type of mindset, but the reward comes from continuous growth, soulful satisfaction, and abundance. There's a content warning on this episode as we discuss alcohol abuse and mental health. If you believe this episode and the content we discuss could be triggering for you, please choose to skip it. Let's get started with our conversation on sobriety and mental health. All right, welcome back to the Jordan Lang Podcast. I'm speaking with Mei, and I'm so excited to be bringing this conversation to you all today. So Mei, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, Jordan, first off, thanks for having me on your podcast. This is a real honor and treat, and you're a dear friend as well. So it's just a real pleasure to speak with you today. And just to tell you a little bit about myself to your audience. My name is Mei. I am originally from the Hawaiian Islands and have made my way through the mainland for a couple of decades. And for my background, I have been in corporate America / musician / business owner presently. So there's been a lot of reincarnation with that. I'm a stepmom, and I'm also in my second time in recovery. So I'm on the sobriety journey right now, which has shifted my focus towards how I do business presently.
Yeah. Awesome. And Mei and I go way back.
We do.
We go way back and have stayed connected, and thank goodness for social media, right? Just keeping us connected. And it's been really neat to see how we both grown individually, but it's like pretty similar as far as like our spiritual journeys and, all of that. So super excited to be able to connect with you and have this conversation. So let's go ahead and just dive right in with this first question. Can you share a little bit about your personal journey? I know you mentioned this is your second time in recovery, so I would love to know a little bit more about your story.
Yeah, absolutely. Regarding recovery, I mentioned it's my second time. My first time I was in recovery for 4 years. And that was just a place where prior to that, drinking and drugging was just a common theme. It came with the party, it came with the music as a DJ. Even just in my environments, I spent quite a bit of time in the Bay Area, San Francisco. So there was a lot of that, and also my social circles. It was just a common theme, and it just got to a point where things were falling apart. I was not feeling mentally well, emotionally well, just feeling really disconnected with myself. I also was starting to get into trouble, and my relationships weren't working right. I just wasn't present to be a good partner or friend. Um, and yeah, it came to fruition that I decided, okay, it was actually 2 days after Valentine's Day where I said I'm going to try this sobriety. So I did that, pretty much white knuckled it. Found myself getting involved in a 12-step program, and which was great building blocks for me to understand and kind of clean up and organize what my priorities are and how sobriety fits in with all of that. So I did that for about 4 years, and um, I came to a point where I felt confident and confident enough. I thought I was coming from a place of empowerment where I even spoke with my therapist that, hey, I think I can drink. I can have like the glass with glass of wine with dinner, or have a beer or two at the end of the day. And so I thought it was coming from a mature place, and I did all this work prior to, and I felt strong and understood the concept of excessive drinking and what life looked like when I was in that active addiction. And yeah, I took the reins on that, took control, and took I took my power back, and I actually I consider it going back into like relapsing for 3.5 years. So the first 3 months were okay, and then it just progressively went south really quick. And it's very it it's it's kind of like, if you look at our culture, alcohol is everywhere. It's ingrained in our rituals, our routine. It's something that we have when we're enjoying. It's something where, if we're feeling down or wanting to like check out, there's so many ways to utilize alcohol and have a drink that for me, it was just so easy to fall back into it. Like, just it just was very accessible. And then I found myself, and this is actually, I'm just realizing this now, is that I found myself neglecting what my emotional and mental needs were. And instead of addressing that and feeling them all the way through, asking for help, or going to tools that I did previously learn to use, I was just reaching for a drink, and just wanted to go into a scene where I was checking out. So that 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 got pretty bad, and I started finding myself uh, at that rock bottom where it wasn't what I previously experienced, but I knew I was getting close. And I have a good life, and I'm grateful for what I have. And I knew at that point, if I didn't decide to get sober again, it was just going to be 10 times worse than what I've experienced. That I almost felt like I was going to die. Like, literally, it was a very spiritual awakening. So I came to on July 1st, 2019, and I remember waking up and the sun was shining. It was Colorado sun, so it's very blue skies and bright sun there. And it came to, and I just woke up, and there's this voice that was just loud. It was the loudest like inner voice I've ever heard. I don't know if it was mine or what it was, but it was just saying, May, you need to knock this off. Like, you need to stop now. Like, what's going to happen, and you need to make that decision now. And through that day, it was just like this energy, this force was just like pushing me. Go dig out your old books. Like, go look for podcasts. Look for meetings. Like, get all your resources that you've collected dust on, dig them out of the moving box that's been sitting in the back of your garage kind of thing. So yeah, it was wow. It was a spiritual awakening for sure. And yeah, I'm like a year and 6 months, almost 2 years in July. So maybe I'm a little over a year, 6 months. I don't know. But I do know that I'm glad to be here. And so I'm in my second uh, time in recovery. And I see this being a really long time.
Yeah. Uh, Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Um, I think it's such a beautiful journey, and like you said, that you really felt like you were coming from a good place, like going, I can have a drink, I can do that. And you are so right that it is normalized, and it is one of those things, especially in the society. And I mean, you understand, when you've got when you've got the girls with you, you're probably like, okay, yeah, I understand when people are like, I'm gonna have a drink at the end of the day, like very much like in
Absolutely.
that mom life world. It's
Mom
like,
life.
yeah, just, oh, I can't wait to have a glass of wine, or is it too early for wine, or whatever. It's just this normalized thing. And I think you touched on it too, when you were saying you weren't fully feeling or seeing through certain things that were coming up, feelings or experiences or whatever else. So it very much can be used as a way to kind of keep us numb, keep us in that,
Yes.
like, it's too hard to feel it, so I'm just gonna numb it out.
Hmm.
um and it is a very normalized thing, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, it's when drinking, it was easy to say, okay, I'll deal with it later,
Mm.
right? I'll deal with it later. And then you say that enough times and you've got a mountain of laundry or like
Yeah.
crap you need to address, and that becomes overwhelming and almost paralyzing, and you just kind of just let it sit in residue.
So that kind of leads into the next question that I wanted us to discuss, which is, do you feel like there's a connection? I think you kind of answered it already, but a connection between sobriety and mental health.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. And I'm only realizing this even more so in recovery now.
Mm.
Um, I don't know if it's because I've had some life experience or what it is, the therapy, just collectively, whatever it is, or just even understanding who I am even better.
Mm.
That in sobriety, you're just you're a lot more clear of
Mm.
what's happening. That feeling may come up, or you might have a trigger, or something might like change your focus to look at something that's inward, shadow work, or whatever you may call it.
Yeah.
um, it's there 100%, it's clear. Whereas if I were foggy or having a drink, I might have missed the message, ignored it completely. And for me, someone who is prone to anxiety and depression, and being diagnosed that at one point where it derailed my entire life, that it affected work, and I had to take a year of absence because of it. If it, I can't imagine drinking through that and being able to come out the other side and know, because those things, even sobriety, is like addiction or alcoholism. It's a disease. So it's something that will never go away. It's a part of who I am. And just I'm learning how to navigate with that, along with anxiety and depression and these other mental um, focus or experiences that I have. And so having alcohol, which at the end of the day, it's poison, putting into my body. Um, yeah, I just the two go hand in hand, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sobriety and mental health work really well together,
Mhm.
and sobriety in general is a very vulnerable topic. And if you go into the communities, mental health, emotional well-being, wellness is all very, very talked about. It's very open. Um, the two go together all the time. And so it's a very common thread
Yeah.
for all of it.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, I I my husband is sober. Just with his anxiety and the medication he's on, it just it's the best decision for him. So I find myself drinking less. Because I mean he's not tempted by it, he's not put off by it. He's okay if I have a drink, but I find very much that I was using it as a way to like escape my responsibilities or escape the the overwhelm of of things like being a mom or the overwhelm of
Mhm.
just life in general at times. So I know that the more inner work that I've done, the more I focused on my mental health, the less I've like not needed, but have felt like I needed to fall back on having a drink or, several.
Yeah,
um,
right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Mm,
Yeah, I've noticed that even just the mental health and the wellness, emotional well-being, it really eh, it's just such a beautiful, like, I don't know how to even describe it, but just how it all comes together. It really pulls in the spiritual aspect of it too, because when you have those other things running and transparent and clear, and you have that spirituality coming in to like kind of, I, I mean, I haven't lost. I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say, Jordan. Hold on.
you're fine. Take your time.
Let's just say that with spirituality too, sobriety also, I've received a lot clearer
Mm,
messages and
mm,
downloads,
yeah,
and my intuition and that whole gut feeling is
yeah.
just, it's like it hasn't steered me wrong
Mm,
since July 1st, 2019.
mm,
I've been going with that compass, and it's just it's so, I'm so grateful. Like it's so feeling of like,
yeah.
wow, I'm here with a purpose, and it's because I chose to live a clear life.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like that's so beautiful knowing your journey and your shift as a business owner and like shifting that way because now you're able to use your personal experience in such a positive way to help others who are on that journey. And I know I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but I just felt like it's leading so well into, discussing ways that you're able to help others who are maybe on like a similar journey themselves, but maybe don't know where to start or don't know who to reach out to or this past year with COVID, like not really maybe being able to have that in-person connection. I'm not really sure exactly where I'm going with that, but you've been able to use your experience, your shift, your sobriety and spiritual journey to positively impact other people in such a massive way. And it's been beautiful for me to see. I don't know how it's been. I'm
Oh,
sure it's
thank you,
been like a journey
Jordan.
for you to experience yourself too. So do you feel like you've been able to help others through your experience?
It really seems that way.
Yeah.
I'm working on embracing all of it, but at the same time, I don't know if I need to. I don't know if it's my place. For me, I find safety in service. So if it's through a platform or community or one-on-one, if I can help any way I can, I will. And that's kind of where I'm at. I try it. If we're speaking about the creative sober, and that's the DBA under my main business, that's something that came to fruition as a commitment to my sobriety. Um, so they always say, and I've experienced it, that the first year of sobriety is always the hardest and the
Mm,
most confusing and the most raw,
yeah.
and you don't know where you're going, who you are, and just where to go. Like it's just all new. And at the same time, you're like your mind and your body, everything is healing up, right? So there's also this purging that also happens with sobriety in that first year. And then when you hit the first year, you're like, okay, now what? Yeah, there's like just that opening there. And so for me, I know that I find safety in service. So I'm like, okay, what can I do to keep me engaged that stimulates my creativity, that uh, allows me to help others through my own story? And so the creative sober happened that way. I just wanted to start a little group on Instagram, created an account, and then the rest is kind of history. It just kind of took off there. I just wanted to make some friends. That's all. And because like you were saying, like where do I go? Like, and then like shortly after I decided I was going to do that, it's the pandemic really hit, and even more so, the online community became even more valuable and important for my life, and then as well as others who are finding safety in that place or a safe space to be able to be who they are.
So, May, what do you feel like are some of the most difficult aspects for someone who's seeking support with their sobriety? I know we touched on, where do we go? Who do we connect with? That kind of thing. So, are there some things that stand out to you that, you know, are difficult for someone who's seeking that support?
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's there's this misconception about sobriety that it's the one that always stands out, is that you have to be at the bottom of your life. Like you've got to lose everything. You've got to lose the job, go to jail, get in trouble. Like all the very extreme levels of what alcoholism is. And it's not true. Like for someone to choose sobriety, um, that's like a personal choice. Like for like I heard it somewhere and I don't know who it said it, but it resonated with me very much, is that um, rock bottom is when you stop digging. That's your rock bottom. So you don't have to be on the bottom. Like you don't have to keep digging. Like if you are, like you hear, well, I'm not drinking, I'm training for a marathon, or I'm not drinking because I'm pregnant, right? So the things that when you do tell someone that you're not drinking, those are the things that they assume that are okay. Okay, that makes sense that you're not drinking. But just for someone to be conscious and understand what alcohol is and what it does to the body, spiritually, mentally, um, it's profound. Like literally, it's ethanol you're putting in your body. And as I don't know, as more conversations I'm having, like it blocks you. It's very low vibe. Like it blocks you vibrationally, spiritually, connecting to your higher source. Like it's just a low vibe thing to put in your body. And now I look back, That's what it was for me. Um, and the struggle, I think, for someone who is looking to be sober is like, well, I don't think I have a problem. Like, do I need to be, sober? It doesn't have to be a problem. It's just a conscious choice. And, with being able to resource and look for ways to get help or support or even knowledge, there's so much resources now, even more so when versus when I was in first in recovery. Like in first in recovery, all there was a 12-step program. You go to meetings, da 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 da. They're very, very, very rigid and very. To me, it's almost like there's some outdated parts that aren't really relevant for me now. So now there's like coaches, there's online communities, there's social communities. So Instagram sober community is amazing. There's just so many places that now you can look to that type of knowledge. And yeah, I think that's the first part, just really addressing where you're at, understanding what your relationship with alcohol is, then looking for the resources. So what fits you? Like what resonates with you? There's no one message that works for everybody. So do the research and, ask questions, keep asking questions about yourself and then what it is that you're looking to for that support. And then third, I think for me anyways, I do have to keep in the forefront why I'm sober. Like I really need to embody that, even to a point where when I wake up every morning, it's a conscious choice that I'm going to be sober today. And those days start stacking up. I've heard so many great success stories of someone who's just wanting to detox or try like a 30-day cleanse or see the difference of what life looks like with or without alcohol. And for them, the results have been so great that, they continue for the next year. It's just kind of that snowball effect.
I love that. Thank you.
Hmm.
So, for somebody who has a loved one who is on a journey of sobriety, and I love that you shared that you don't have to hit rock bottom. Like, you don't have to be in the hospital. You don't have to be arrested. You don't have to lose your job. Like, you could just choose to be sober. And because somebody who maybe is just like, I want to be sober just to be like, because I want to. Like, I'm not pregnant. I'm not training for anything. So for somebody who's listening who has a loved one who is choosing that path, what are some ways that they can help encourage them and help be that support for them? Maybe even if they don't fully understand it.
Yeah, I mean, from someone who's witnessing someone's sobriety journey, I think the best thing is just be support.
Mm,
Because sobriety is such a personal experience.
yeah.
And if you want to share, then they will. If they don't, then it's a boundary thing, and that's also important on that journey. And if you are inviting this friend or family member over to dinner, yeah, maybe have like a non-alcoholic option or
Mm,
consider like what would this person enjoy,
yeah.
while we do open one or two bottles of wine. Like
Yeah.
what does that look like? And it's really nice too to even ask, um, what their comfort level is and just kind
Mm,
of be aware of where they're at on that. And then
yeah.
it's up to them where they decide if they're going to come to the party, if it's or share what they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And the best thing you can do is just support the person on where they're at.
Mm, yeah. And I totally agree with you on that because with Brian being sober and me, sometimes, but not always, when we go places, my family has been very open with that, for a while before it wasn't a secret, but, we'd go over to my sister and brother-in-law's house and they'd say, hey, Brian, there's beer in the fridge. And he's like, no, I'm good, thanks. And then I finally was like, he's sober. Like that's why he's not drinking, like not anything against you guys. Thank you for offering, and so they provided his favorite pop. So every time we go over, he now has his drink is there, so it's just that accommodation factor and that understanding of like, okay, I'm not choosing this for me personally, but I respect you for your decision. Here's how I can support you in that. I think it's just that awareness and that loving that person anyway, just being a kind human being. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. It's kind of it is a two-way street. Like someone who is in sobriety may not be comfortable talking about
Yeah.
it, let alone like share it with others,
Yeah.
or just very selective people in that
Yeah.
person's life as well. And I've been there. Like there's environments, especially in the entertainment field. I wouldn't lead in with "I'm a sober DJ,"
Right.
kind of thing. It's like it's just it depends who's there, and it's not always like common knowledge too. So you're a really awesome partner, Jordan.
So May, let's go ahead and kind of wrap things up with this last question. If you could give some advice to someone listening in right now who may be struggling with their sobriety or wanting to become sober, what would that be?
I can only speak from my experience. When becoming sober, wanting the help, let alone knowing what the first step is, really lean into deciding that you do want sobriety.
Mm.
And it is really, truly about the baby steps. So for me, um, that looked like going every minute, every 30 minutes, 1 hour, 1 day at a time, and eventually growing that confidence that I can do that. But it really is, it's that beginning stages of just really giving yourself grace, and even having like a little like moment of celebration that, hey, you know what, I'm actually thinking about this. This is I the fact that you're thinking about it, this is something that you're wanting. If you're having this conversation with yourself, there's a calling, there's a reason. And so how, applying action to that, um, that comes based on what you need and what kind of healing you're going through, what sobriety looks like for you, what support and resources work for you. All of those come. But yeah, and in the beginning, just really think about sobriety and what it that you wanted. Um, yeah, and just look for the resources, like whether it's a 12-step program, look online, Google it. There's so much resources. If you Google it, go on to your favorite social media app, Instagram. I mentioned earlier, has a really great sober community on there. Look where you might find a pocket or folks that are speaking your language, or someone that you find your story in theirs. Ask questions. Look for that. So yeah, and that's what worked for me, and here I am.
Thank you so much, May, for this conversation and sharing your wisdom with us. For the listeners who want to connect with you and learn more, how can they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Easiest way to connect with me is on Instagram. If you're on there, it's at the Creative Sober. If you want to email me, it's at the Creative Sober. I'm sorry, the Creative Sober at gmail.com. And my name's May.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jordan, for having me. Thank you for this conversation today.
Another massive thank you to Mei for this important conversation on sobriety and mental health. Make sure to check out the corresponding blog post on the website, www.jordanlangco.com/blog, and connect with us on our Instagram account at The Jordan Lang Podcast to continue the conversation. If you're finding value in these conversations, please rate and review on iTunes, as well as download, subscribe, and follow on whichever platform you choose to listen. Thank you for your love and support of the Jordan Lang Podcast. Sending you all lots of love.